Picture this. You are 32 years old. For most of us, we're just kind of starting to really figure our lives out, right? We're hitting our stride in our careers and finally finding our place in the world. But around 2,300 years ago, there was a man who reached the age of 32, having already conquered the entire known world. And then, then he passed away.
Welcome to today's historical journey. We are diving into an absolutely epic tale of conquest, brilliance, and just relentless ambition. In this explainer, we're looking at the life of a young visionary who didn't just want to rule a little kingdom. No, he wanted to leave a massive, indelible mark on the entire globe. Of course, I'm talking about the man who became known to history as Alexander the Great.
Section 1. A Prince's Grand Dream, the Making of a Conqueror. So born in 356 BC in the city of Pella, Alexander was the son of King Philip II of Macedon and Queen Olympias. And right from early childhood, this kid harbored a dream of doing something completely extraordinary. It wasn't just raw bravery that forged his path, though. He definitely had plenty of that. It was his absolutely unparalleled education. He was trained relentlessly in war, horsemanship, leadership, the whole shebang. But the real game changer? That was his tutor, the legendary philosopher Aristotle. Aristotle expanded Alexander's mind with philosophy, science, and politics. He even introduced the young prince to the epic poetry of Homer, which actually inspired Alexander to view himself as the next Achilles. This profound education completely rewired his way of thinking, proving that a truly strong foundation for monumental success is built on deep, expansive knowledge. The immense potential everyone saw in him was undeniable, even when he was just a kid. There's this famous story of a massive, wildly aggressive black horse brought to the kingdom. Literally no one could tame it. The beast just reared and bucked at anyone who even tried to approach. But young Alexander noticed something that everyone else completely missed. The horse was actually terrified of its own shadow. So by just turning the horse toward the sun, he managed to calm it down enough to ride it. That horse was the famous Bucephalus. Watching this incredible display of keen observation and courage, his father gave him this legendary mandate. Macedonia is too small for you. You must find a larger world. Oh, and fun fact, Alexander loved that horse so much that years later he actually founded a city and named it Bucephala in its honor. How cool is that?
Section 2. The Young King's Rise, Ascension to the Throne.
Okay, let's dive into this. That larger world was calling, for sure, but the path wasn't exactly smooth sailing. I mean, imagine the weight of an entire kingdom dropping onto your shoulders when you're just 20 years old. Following the sudden assassination of his father, Alexander became the king of Macedon, and he didn't exactly have time to ease into the role. Rivals smelled blood in the water, and rebellion sparked almost immediately. But using that sharp intellect and immense courage we just talked about, he swiftly and, honestly, sometimes brutally, put down these uprisings to secure his absolute power. Section 3. Conquering the Achaemenid Empire, taking on the world's greatest power. With his home base totally secure, Alexander locked his ambitious sights on the ultimate prize, the massive Achaemenid Persian Empire. Now, this was a breathtakingly audacious move. Crossing into Asia Minor, he didn't just bring men, he brought the legendary Macedonian phalanx. Picture this, thousands of highly disciplined soldiers moving as a single impenetrable unit, wielding devastating 18-foot spears called sarissas. Winning battle after battle, his forces swept through like an absolute force of nature. In just a few short years, the incredibly wealthy and sprawling territories of Asia Minor, Syria, Egypt, and Persia all fell to his brilliant lightning-fast battlefield strategies. But, it's really vital to remember he wasn't just a conqueror leaving dust in his wake. He was a builder. When he reached Egypt, the people there didn't fight him. They actually welcomed him as a liberator from Persian rule. And right there, he founded a city. In fact, over the course of his campaigns, he named over 70 cities after himself. Talk about leaving a legacy, but this one in Egypt became the absolute crown jewel. Alexandria would grow into a legendary hub for global trade and house the Great Library, laying the groundwork for an interconnected world and spreading that exact same education Aristotle had given him years ago.
Section 4. The Battle in India, the Clash at the Hydaspes.
His ambitions simply wouldn't let him stop, pushing further and further east. By 326 BC, he reached the borders of India. Here, at the Hydaspes River, he faced the Indian king Porus in what became one of his most grueling fights. For the first time ever, Alexander's men were facing something entirely new and honestly utterly terrifying: massive war elephants, literally trampling the battlefield. Porus fought with fierce, unbelievable bravery. It ended up being a brutal victory for Alexander. But what's really interesting about this slide is what happened next. Instead of executing his defeated rival, Alexander asked Porus how he wished to be treated. Bleeding but totally unbowed, Porus stood tall and simply replied, "Treat me as a king would treat another king." Deeply moved by this courage, Alexander showed immense humility. Out of sheer respect, he actually returned Porus's kingdom to him, forging a really powerful alliance in the process.
Section 5. The Final Journey. The Toll of Endless Conquest. Despite wanting to press even further into India, reality finally caught up with his limitless ambitions. His men were just thoroughly exhausted. I mean, they had marched over 11,000 miles, fighting continuously for years, and they desperately wanted to return home. Alexander, listening to his weary troops, finally made the extremely difficult decision to turn back. But the journey home was fraught with immense hardships, and then tragedy struck. In 323 BC, in the city of Babylon, a sudden fever, or perhaps, as some historians suspect, a fatal dose of poison, took hold of him. Alexander died. He was only 32 years old. In that spectacularly brief time, though, he had forged an empire stretching all the way from Greece, through Egypt, right to the borders of India. It was literally one of the absolute largest empires the ancient world had ever seen.
Section 6. Lessons from a Conqueror. Timeless Wisdom from Alexander.
Although his life was remarkably brief, his achievements were so monumental that history forever labeled him Alexander the Great. But when we distill this breathtaking journey down, several blueprints for our own modern challenges emerge. So the crucial point is this. His ambition proves that big dreams truly do lead to big achievements. His rigorous education reminds us that knowledge is the ultimate foundation for success. His leadership shows that true leaders don't just command from the back, they charge and inspire from the front. And perhaps most surprisingly, his humility with King Porus teaches us that grace is absolutely essential even when you are incredibly successful. With firm determination, you can make the seemingly impossible entirely possible.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Alexander's story proves that it is not the sheer length of a life, but its monumental achievements that make it truly great. He went from a prince of a small kingdom to one of history's most famous conquerors, powered by courage, education, and vision. So ask yourself, what will your legacy be? How will you conquer your own world today?